from Candlestick Park on the shores of San Francisco Bay, it's ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. The Pittsburgh Pirates meet the San Francisco Giants. In 1990, they had the best record in the National League, but it was followed by an offseason of discontent. Starting first baseman Sid Bream went, a free agent, to Atlanta. Then, in early March, tensions between Jim Leland and MVP Barry Bonds exploded. This was followed by persistent rumors that the Bucks would deal Bobby Bonilla rather than risk losing him to free agency. But Jim Leland's Pirates have kept their cool and kept winning. Their pitching with Cy Young Award winner Doug Graybeck, back in form, has been among the league's best. The defense, led by Gold Glover Andy Van Slyke and second baseman Chico Lind, has been spectacular. And no one questions an offense led by Bonilla and MVP winner Barry Bonds. Meanwhile, Roger Craig has seen his Giants struggle in the early going, but his team has begun to surge. And today marks the return of sweet swinging Will Clark to the lineup. On the mound, Craig turns to his ace left-hander, Buddy Black. He leads the National League with 3 shutouts. It's the Pirates and the Giants next. A beautiful day in the San Francisco Bay Area. Tonight, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball from Candlestick Park, showing the Pittsburgh Pirates meeting the San Francisco Giants. The Giants have won the first 2 games of the series, but nonetheless, the Pirates still atop the National League East with the best record in the National League. Meanwhile, in the West, the Giants had a terrible start. Roger Craig thinks they're still a contender, but they've got a very deep hole out of which to dig themselves. Hello, everyone. John Miller with you from Candlestick Park. The Giants have done well lately, even without Will Clark. Now, he'll be back in the lineup tonight for the first time in 8 days. Kevin Mitchell, he's hoping to get off the disabled list as early as Tuesday. We'll see. He looks pretty good out there. Meanwhile, Willie McGee is in the lineup, and he is red hot. He has a 19-game hitting streak. He had a game-winning home run here Friday night against the Pirates.
High in the air to right field, backing up is Bonilla at the fence. It's gone!
Hey, who was that play-by-play man? Do you have a union card for that?
I'm still working on it.
Sounded pretty good. Crowd noise was outstanding. Joe Morgan is here with me. And, Joe, the Giants have been hot lately.
Well, they really have. And you mentioned Willie McGee. Matt Williams has also been swinging the bat well. And they've gotten a big list from Tiny Felder. He came over. He's taken the place of Kevin Mitchell, done a great job, been hitting leadoff, getting on base. Their offense has really picked up, and I think Willie McGee has been the catalyst.
Now, tonight, the Giants had their best pitcher going, Buddy Black. And he ended the Pirates' 9-game winning streak last week in Pittsburgh. And the Pirates have not really recovered. They have lost 6 of their last 9.
Well, they have not been swinging the bats well. Early in the season, they got a lot of big hits. They still were not getting a lot of hits, but they were getting key hits with men in scoring position. All of a sudden now, they're not hitting at all. They're not getting men on base, and they're not hitting with men in scoring position.
Now, Roger Craig says the Giants have not had a hot streak yet. They haven't been on all cylinders. They could still get back in this race, and he expects them to.
Well, one guy told Roger Craig before the ball game, he said, if the Giants come back and win this pennant, we're going to put a statue of you in center field and leave it there for everyone to see that you're the best manager in the history of baseball.
Sounds like he's counting on it. One thing is for sure, the Giants can sweep this series with a victory tonight, and we're just moments away from getting started. From Candlestick Park, it will be Buddy Black on the mound. He is tied for the National League lead with 3 shutouts against Bob Walk, a 3-game winner for Pittsburgh. John Miller and Joe Morgan. That's not our view from Candlestick Park, but it's one of the many incredibly beautiful vistas from this beautiful city of San Francisco. Now the starting lineup for the visiting Pittsburgh Pirates. Gary Reedus will lead it off at first base. Jay Bell at shortstop, having a fine year. Mitch Webster, a switch hitter, in center field, batting third. Bobby Bonilla is at third base, batting cleanup. Barry Bonds, National League MVP, in left field. Lloyd McClendon is in right field, batting sixth. Veteran Don Slaught is the catcher. Jose Chico Lind is at second base, batting eighth. And on the mound, veteran right-hander Bob Walk. And there is the man that lineup will be facing, Buddy Black. 6 and 5, 3 shutouts, Joe.
Well, the 3 shutouts are indicative of the way he has pitched. He's pitched exceptionally well. A lot of ball games this season. He has pitched well, but did not get a decision. He has been the real lone bright spot in the Giants starting rotation. And he has been a bargain since he came over as a free agent. A lot of criticism of Al Rosen when they signed him to that big contract, but he has responded very well.
Kind of kept them afloat up till now. And certainly his manager, Roger Craig, is singing the praises of Buddy Black. We talked to him.
He's a manager's type pitcher. He's a guy who's going to give you 6 or 7, 8 innings every time he walks out there. I think only twice this year he's given me less than 7 innings. He's a good hitter. He holds men on base. You don't hear him around the clubhouse. He's just a real class act. And but Buddy's got a good fastball, a cut fastball. He's got a good curveball, and but he relies on his good control. And when you could probably hear him grunting up there. When he starts grunting, he pitches well.
So we'll listen real hard for that. There's Buddy Black. His victory over Pittsburgh last weekend. Pittsburgh ended their 9-game winning streak. There's his battery mate, Terry Kennedy.
Yeah, Terry Kennedy had lost his job to Steve Decker to start the season. Decker has struggled, and in fact, they sent him to the minor leagues, but they hurt his hand, and he brought him right back. But Terry Kennedy plays against left-handed, right-handed pitchers, and Steve Decker's against left-handers. Will Clark's at first base. Robbie Thompson at second. Jose Uribe at short. Matt Williams is over at third. And Willie McGee in his 19-game hitting streak is in center field. Mark Leonard starts today in left, and Tiny Felder is in right.
And as is almost always the case here, the wind is blowing hard in off the Pacific and across from left out toward right. 63 degrees will be the game time temperature. Awfully clear, as you can see. No chance of rain. And these last 5 years, even in rainy season, not much of a chance. They're in the midst of a terrible drought here these last 5 years in California. Here is Gary Reedus to lead it off for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And we're ready to get started here on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. There's a called strike. And we are, in fact, underway. 5:09 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And Joe, happy Father's Day to you.
Same to you, John.
Here's the pitch on the way. That is foul down the right field line and back out of play. And this is my gift to you, scheduling this game on Father's Day in your home area.
And I thank you very much for that. It's been an enjoyable afternoon so far, and I just hope we have a good ball game.
Yeah, I figured you wouldn't want that trip to Rio like I got you last year. That's a ball, and it is 1-2 to Reedus.
We're like most fathers. We'd like to spend our day at the ballpark, and we're here.
Now the windup, the 1-2 pitch on the way. And that is in the dirt for a ball. 2-2.
John, one thing we should look for early with the Pirates is see how well they attack the baseball today. Yesterday they were shut out by young left-hander Mike Reminger, and of course they have not been swinging the bats well lately. We'll have to see if they're overly aggressive today.
There's a high fly ball, and Felder started back, now comes in a little bit. Not Felder, that's McGee, Willie McGee, and he makes the grab one away. This series Friday night, the Giants winning the first game 3-2 on the McGee home run in the 8th inning. Oliveros in relief, the winner over Zane Smith. Rigetti with a save. And then yesterday afternoon is Remling, the starter out of Dartmouth College, and in his major league debut became only the 38th pitcher in National League history to pitch a shutout in his very first. The first Giants rookie to do it since Juan Marichal in 1960, 31 years ago. Here's Jay Bell now. Bell has very quietly put together a solid season. He's hitting .256. When you think of him, you think of a guy who fields well and bunts well. But he's been one of the Pirates who's hit well in the clutch.
Well, when you talk about the Pirates and their fast starts, you think of Bonds, Bonilla, Van Slyke, and all the hitters. But this guy, according to his manager, Jim Leland, has been the glue of the infield, and he's also contributed big base hits. A lot of RBIs hitting in this position.
2-0 the count. And throws him a fastball. Charlie Relaford calls it a strike. 2-1 the count. Changed up on it. 2-2 the count. Now Black has 3 shutouts. And when you think of Buddy Black, I mean, he's not overpowering. You don't think of him as a shutout type guy.
No, he is not overpowering, but he moves the ball around very well, keeps the right-handers off balance.
Fouled Ball back.
He will come inside with a good cut fastball and a slider, and he goes away with the fastball. And we've seen his changeup here to Jay Bell. But the other thing about he has 3 shutouts. He took 1 shutout into the 9th inning.
And didn't get it.
And didn't get it. Only had given up 2 hits. Ended up giving up a run.
2-2 the count to Jay Bell. So Buddy Black has been a very good investment for the Giants up till now. There's Roger Craig. When the team was going so badly, 12-29 they were at the beginning after 41 games, he was having tightness in his chest. He was a little worried about that. Uribe, the shortstop, throws out Jay Bell. 2 men gone. He's had a history of heart trouble in his family, but he had all the tests done, and they said, no, your heart is in excellent shape. So apparently the stress of the losing streak and the bad start were getting to him.
John, when you're losing as much as the Giants, where everything hurts, your heart, your head, everything, you have a lot of problems.
Well, I said, I mean, why would there have been that much stress? Here is Mitch Webster. Right to Will Clark, his first day back in the lineup since last Saturday, and that quickly ends the inning. We'll tell you about Roger Craig's condition, and we'll be back with the Giants at bats after these messages. Beneath a cerulean blue sky on the shores of San Francisco Bay, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. We're going to the last of the first inning. And now the starting lineup for Roger Craig's San Francisco Giants. Mike Tiny Felder in right field. Willie McGee, a 19-game hitting streak in center. Will Clark just back in the lineup at first base. Matt Williams, he's been hot lately at third. Mark Leonard, the young left fielder, bats fifth. Robbie Thompson bats sixth at second base. Terry Kennedy is the catcher, batting seventh. Jose Uribe is at shortstop and batting ninth. The pitcher and a pretty good hitter, Buddy Black. And there's Bob Walk on the mound for the Pirates.
Well, Bob Walk is a battler. He will battle you tooth and nail. He'll look like he's struggling even if he pitches a shutout. But he's also a guy that you know you're going to get a good effort from, and that's why the Pirates like him so much. And Don Slott is behind the plate tonight, but they have had a lot of problems throwing out base runners, the Pirates have.
So here is Mike Felder, formerly with the Milwaukee Brewers, and they just let him go this spring. The Giants picked him up, and he has been quite an addition to their ball club as he takes ball one. Felder, a switch hitter, and you see his batting average there, .291. He gets speed, he can steal a base, he can play all over the outfield. Toward the middle, Bell throws him out. There is one away.
And the defense behind Bob Walk. We just saw Jay Bell throw out Felder, shortstop, and Jose Lean will be at second base. Gary Reedus is in the outfield, and Bobby Bonilla is over at third base. Gary Reedus, I'm sorry, is at first base. Barry Bonds, Gold Glove winners in left field. Mitch Webster in center, and Lloyd McClendon gets a start in right.
And now here is the red-hot Willie McGee. His season's average is .332. Walk misses, ball one. But during this 19-game hitting streak, he's hit .382. And there you see it, 29 hits in those 19 games. And it is 1-1. And Joe, I mean, it's such an opportune time from the Giants' point of view for him to do this with Clark injured these last 8 days and Mitchell out all that time.
That's exactly right. He has come to the forefront from them, and that's what they counted on when they acquired Willie McGee in the winter. Another bat in the lineup. And a lot of people forget, but he has been the most valuable player in the National League, so he is capable of putting a lot of numbers on the board for you.
There's the final from Los Angeles. The Dodgers, the first-place team in the division, defeated St. Louis 7-2. And the Cardinals, the second-place team in the East, back of the Pirates. So the Pirates can gain ground on the second-place Cardinals with a win here. The Giants will need a win to keep pace with the Dodgers, whom at this point, I'm sure not even thinking about the Giants. Reedus boots the ball, and McGee is safe. And Reedus was the last to know about it, I think.
The one problem you have as a guy coming from the outfield to the infield, sometimes you forget. You have to charge the ball. Watch. He'll just wait right here. Gary Reedus just stays where he is, waits for the ball, and it eats him up. You have to charge the ball. Willie McGee slashes it. He hits the ball pretty sharply toward first base, But there you see Reedus kind of back up and wait for it, hits him off the heel of the glove.
That will be an error on Reedus all the way. And here is Will Clark, just back in the lineup. And that batting average is low, but look at those RBIs, even though he's missed the last 8 games. Time taken, Clark backs away. He got in a couple of times as a pinch hitter, but has not been in the starting lineup. He had an injured quadricep muscle in his right leg in a game a week ago last Saturday. And returns to the lineup today for the first time. That's foul. Jammed him with the breaking ball.
I talked to Bob Walk before the ball game. I said, what are you going to feature today? What type of pitches? He said, I'm going to throw everything but a fastball.
So just about like every other day.
Yes. And then he kind of smiled and said he will use the fastball on occasion.
1 strike to Will Clark. There you see Willie McGee over at first base. 1 man out, first inning, no score. Make Willie go back to the bag. McGee has stolen 10 bases for the Giants this year, been caught 4 times. It's the second best stolen base figure on the ball club. Only Mike Felder has stolen more. 1 strike to Clark. He lays off. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now Clark claims that, well, he's been slumping. I mean, that batting average is like 40 or 50 points below where you figure. He's hit well against Clark, against Walk in the past. He says that he's hit a lot of balls hard that have been caught. It's not a question of that he hasn't swung the bat well. Ball on the strike to count to Clark. It's Reedus on the bag with McGee.
Well, the real problem that Will has had this year, John, is consistency. He got off to a great start, hit real well, then he went into a slump, dropped all the way down to 260. Then he got hot, brought it back to 280, and now he's slumping a little bit. He's back to 277, but he is a good hitter, and you know he's going to get his hits over the course of the season.
That will be fouled down the left field line. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count to Will Clark. Well, one thing he was getting, even with the lower batting average, was RBIs. I mean, 43 RBIs for a good long while. He was leading the National League in that category, and then David Justice has come on while Clark was hurt.
Well, Will Clark has proven over the years that he's been in the major leagues that he is a good RBI man, and he's always had the luxury of having Kevin Mitchell hit behind him, and that has really helped him a lot.
1-2 the count. Hey, struck him out. I didn't see any fastballs in that sequence, I don't believe.
No, what you will see from Bob Walk pitching to Will Clark the entire day will be a lot of change-ups, curveballs, and a wasted fastball. This is a very good change-up right there. Nice pitch by Bob Walk. Will Clark is way out in front. You see, he's already finished his swing before the ball arrives to the plate.
Pretty swing, though.
Yes.
Here's Matt Williams. He hit a home run here yesterday against John Smiley, one of the top left-handers in the game. Very windy day here at Candlestick Park, and Matt Williams takes time out. You see there, in the last 10 games, 12 RBIs, and he led the National League in RBIs last year.
Matt got off to a very slow start, and you contribute that to the fact that he was not swinging the bat well after spring training. He got off to a great start in spring training. He injured himself. He had a bad neck, and he was out for a while. And it took him a while to get his timing back, and then the season started. He just got off to a slow start, and he's been struggling ever since. Although he's swinging the bat much better now, he has been more patient. He has not been swinging as many bad pitches as he was at the beginning of the season.
No score in the game. We're in the last of the first. 2 down. Willie McGee at first. Does Roger Craig like to see McGee run in spots like this?
Yes, they will run anytime.
Walk, mindful of that. Puts him back in the bag again. That's Harry Wendelstedt, the veteran umpire over there.
I noticed when McGee ran to first base, he was limping a little bit, so I'm not sure if he will take off or not in this situation.
Walk has decided he just can't be too careful, so he moves him back to the bag again. Here's Roger Craig. He mentioned the tightness he was feeling in his chest, and he said one of the problems he had when the team was going bad, he was probably putting too much pressure on himself. I hope the curve is too high. He said, I think that maybe I thought I could do something to get this club going, and it didn't happen. And I was blaming myself. And he says that's the one thing he's trying not to do now. Just accept what happens. You know, manage hard, do everything you can do, but then leave it at that.
Well, it's very difficult for a manager to do that, even though they tell you that's the thing to do. All managers suffer when their teams are playing poorly or not winning ball games. And they do blame themselves. They're always thinking, what else can I do? Maybe if I would have done this differently, we would have won that ball game. So it's a never-ending thing for a manager trying to find the happy medium there.
And ball 2 to Matt Williams. 2-1. 2 out, 1 on. Mark Leonard, the rookie, is on deck. He is going to get another test tomorrow from the doctors, and we're talking about Roger Craig, just to make sure that everything still seems like it's all right. It would be frightening, though. You've had heart trouble in your family, and then you start feeling these chest pains. To the shortstop, Jay Bell. And that is the inning. 1 error and 1 man left on base for the Giants. At the end of 1 full inning from Candlestick Park, no score. We right after the ball game, the ESPN expanded Sunday night Sports Center. This is John Miller with Joe Morgan on Father's Day 1991, and there is Bobby Bonilla, followed by Boggs. Strike 1 to Bonilla. One of the surprising things to me about the Pirates, Bonilla, decent numbers but not great numbers, and both he and Bonds had great numbers last year, is that as a little dribbler, Black will go to cover the bag, Will Clark to Black. And there is 1 away. But
that was a good cut fastball from Buddy Black to get Bonilla. Barry Bonds coming up. We have an in the zone. We'll show you how you should pitch Barry Bonds. If you are a left-handed pitcher, try to go inside with the fastball, stay in tight, and you try to get the breaking balls out here on the edge. Stay out of the middle of the plate. But Bonds is an excellent hitter against left-handed pitching, and I talked to him about it before the ball game today. Says he stays in, tries to keep his front shoulder in, and first of all, he says he's not afraid of the baseball. I think that was the key phrase.
First ball swinging into right center, but there is Felder, and just like that, 2 men are gone. Surprising to me that the Pirates, with all of the undercurrents that went through their clubhouse in spring training, the winter, the start of the year, not only got off to a good start, but got off to a good start and are still playing well. Even though Bonds and Bonilla have not been extraordinary, Van Slyke was in a terrible slump. Doug Drabek was in a terrible slump, their ace pitcher of a year ago. And yet there they are, not only at the top of their division. A few days ago, it looked like they might run away with the division.
Well, again, they have been getting a lot of key base hits in clutch situations. And when you say Barry Bonds is not doing well, you look at him, he still has a lot of RBIs. He and Bobby Bonilla are on a pace to drive in over 100 runs again. Even though his batting average is not where you think it should be or where we think it should be.
No, I think it should be much higher.
Right, he does too. But talking to him, he says he just got off to a slow start. A lot of the things that happened in spring training did have an effect on him because he does care about Jim Leland, and that's the key. Leland and he have a lot of respect for each other, and the blow-up made them both look like they really did not like each other, and that's a fallacy.
And there's a strike, 1 ball and 2 strikes on this Father's Day, by the way. We're here in Candlestick Park, and of course Barry Bonds' dad, Bobby Bonds, had some great years in this ballpark for the Giants. He hit a grand slam homer here at Candlestick in the first major league game he ever played in. Bobby Bonds, quite a player. 2-2 the count to McClendon. We're at Candlestick Park, top of the second, 2 down, nobody on. The Giants and the Pirates, no score in the game. Buddy Black, the pitcher. 3-2 to McClendon. Don Slaught would be next. Next Sunday will be at Tiger Stadium, by the way, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Pacific. California Angels will take on slugging Detroit Tigers. Popped up, a lot of foul territory in this ballpark, but even so, it drops back in amongst the spectators. There's Terry Kennedy, whose dad, Bob, was a big league player and a big league manager, and still an executive. Bob Kennedy.
He's here with the Giants. In fact, he works for the Giants.
Terry was telling a great story about his dad. Said when his dad was an executive with the Cubs had a pick after the Cardinals, and the Cardinals took Terry Kennedy. He said, Dad, would you have taken me if I'd still been available? He said, we would have taken you, but we would have traded you. That's a foul ball.
Candlestick Park is a pretty large ballpark. 335 down the left field line and right field, 365 in the power alley, and 400 straight away. But because of the swirling winds, the ball does not carry well here most of the time. Unless the wind is blowing out to right field on occasion, it will carry well that way.
3-2 pitch. A bloop, shallow right center, and it's in there for a base hit. That's the first hit of the game. So Lloyd McClendon over at first base. The batter will be Don Slaught.
We have seen 3 of the Pirates get jammed with the slider or to cut fastball. See, Terry Kennedy's target is inside. The slider doesn't get in quite as far as he wants it. Thus, McClendon is able to get enough of the bat on the ball to bloop it in the right field. Get that ball 2 inches farther in, and it would have broken his bat.
Down the left field line. And Leonard with the diving catch into the shadows. He comes back out into the sunshine with the baseball, and the side is retired.
Mark Leonard is replacing Kevin Mitchell in left field, and this is just a great catch. He starts to slide, gets his glove down, and shows the umpire, I've got it.
Keeps the Pirates off the board. No score after 1.5.
After his comeback with cancer, it was probably, I'll remember that game more than any game I've ever coached or played or managed. It was a game, it was almost like I'm seeing something I don't believe. Dave Dravecki pitched, and he had a shutout until the 8th inning, give up a home run, but he ended up getting a win. Then he went down in Montreal. But I know what he's going through is you know, nobody knows until it happens to you. But Dave Dravecki is a strong Christian man. If anybody can handle this, he can handle it.
And that was Roger Craig, as Mark Leonard takes a called strike from Bob Walk. And certainly we join with Roger in extending all of our prayers and best wishes to Dave Dravecki and his family. And I think just about the entire baseball world would join with us in those sentiments.
Well, the players, the Giants players and his former teammates talked to him last week, and they said he was still so upbeat they couldn't believe it. He was telling them that he was going to have the surgery, yet they said he was just like normal. Unbelievable.
Ball 2 to Mark Leonard.
Said he was even talking about golf and playing golf, so he is a special individual.
Mark Leonard, 25 years of age. He is from the Bay Area, Mountain View, California, and attended high school, Fremont High School, and also the University of California, Santa Barbara. On the run, well, the advance light's not out there today. Leonard with the big turn, but Webster hurries it back. Webster, pretty good outfielder in his own right. Runs real well.
Well, he runs exceptionally well, and that was one of the reasons the Pirates acquired him, because they wanted another guy to back up Andy Van Slyke. Leonard gets a low fastball, and he drives it into right center field, and Mitch Webster cuts it off and holds him to a single. Nice play by Webster in the outfield.
So here's Walk now to face Robbie Thompson. And there's a called strike. Now Walk had to leave his last start a little bit early with a strained left hamstring muscle. He was ahead in the ball game, but did not pitch the 5 innings required to win it. They gave him an extra day between starts. He would have been due up yesterday. Smiley went instead. But Leland wasn't quite sure if Walk, just how healthy he was going to be tonight. Strike 2, no balls and 2 strikes. Looks pretty good so far.
Well, that was a good slider, and again, as I said at the beginning of the show, he is going to battle you. He is a battler. He doesn't have a lot of stuff on his fastball. He doesn't have a great curveball. Doesn't have a great change, but he has adequate velocity on his fastball, and he does a great job of moving it around.
1 ball and 2 strikes. When the season began, the Giants had Robbie Thompson leading off, and that didn't seem to work out too well. Felder filled the role very capably for a long while, then he's tailed off a bit. And a foul ball. 1 ball and 2 strikes. But one thing that it's hard to overlook in terms of letting Brett Butler go to the Dodgers, and of course he's an excellent leadoff man, is just how well Willie McGee has hit and how well he has played.
Well, you make a choice. You know, there was no way they could keep both. And they chose to sign Willie McGee as a free agent and to let Brett Butler go as a free agent. One thing I'm noticing from Bob Walk, John, is I think he's having trouble with his hamstring. He is taking a little more time as he walks off the mound.
Now time taken. No pitch. From around the ballpark, the inevitable cries of balk. 1-2 the count. They changed that rule a few years ago where the new rule says that a pitcher cannot commit a balk due to the actions of a batter. Right? They used to teach just go ahead and throw the ball.
Yeah, or if the guy just stepped out, you didn't know if the umpire called timeout or not. 1-2 the count. And foul on the left field line. The guy might step out of the box and the pitcher would start his motion and stop. It would have been a balk if time had not been taken. They changed that rule, though. Let's see if Bob Walk's delivery has changed any from the beginning of the game. He doesn't pick his leg up quite as high as he did the first time he had a runner on, but he seems to be okay. You can see the wrap on his left leg there. Heavily wrapped.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Thompson. Nobody out. Leonard at first. Walk working very slowly. This could be 2. Bonilla to second 1. Leaned at the first. 2. A double play. Two down, nobody on, just like that.
Well, Jose Lean is one of the best second basemen in Major League Baseball. Bobby Bonilla over at third gives him a good feed on this play. Takes it on the big hop. 1 step, he gets rid of it. Perfect throw. Lean goes toward first, and you can't touch him. He's one of those guys, you go in hard, he just leaps over you. No matter how high you come in, he goes a little higher.
Seemed to defy gravity there for a little bit. There's ball 1 to Terry Kennedy. There's a movie coming out soon called The Rocketeer or something like that.
Yes.
Chico Lean story. Terry Kennedy, he's had a problem with a stiff neck at times this year. Playable, Jay Bell calling for it. Bonds right behind him, and Bonds at last takes the play, and that's the inning. He caught it. No collisions. No score after 2. Candlestick Park, and that is our venue for this week's Sunday night baseball game of the week. It's the Pittsburgh Pirates 0, the Giants 0. Top of the 3rd inning. Jose Leaned, the 8th place hitter, against Bud Black, taking a strike. The pitcher, Bob Walk, will follow, and then the leadoff man, Gary Reedus, due up 3rd in the inning. Leaned, like his team, slumping. Fastball, beauty. Called strike 2. Now the Pirates not only would like to win just to get themselves going again. I mean, all the obvious reasons. Everybody likes to win. That breaking ball misses outside. But here's an added incentive. The 2nd place Cardinals, 5 games out at the start of the day. 3rd place New York, 5.5 out. 4th place Chicago, 6.5 out. They all lost today. So the Pirates can gain ground on 3 teams with a victory. And we mentioned they're slumping. Well, this lays it out for you. 197 the last 3 games. Only 5 runs in that time. But the slump really goes longer than that. It's been particularly bad for 3 games, but it's been pretty bad the last 9 games, and they've lost 6 of those. So the bats have been cooling off, and now here they are in cold Candlestick trying to get warm again. 1-2 the count. 2-2.
I tried to give Leland a chance to use that excuse he wouldn't bite. I said Friday night when you came into Candlestick Park, it was awfully cold, and they struggled Friday night and again yesterday afternoon. He said, no, we've been struggling like this for 9 games.
And that's a foul off to the right. 2-2. By the way, Joe, happy Bloomsday.
Okay.
June 16th is always Bloomsday to the people in Dublin, Ireland, New York, and elsewhere around the country, where they love the works of James Joyce. And Robbie Thompson throws out Chico Lean. There is one away.
You're not finished, I hope.
Leopold Bloom was the hero of Joyce's famed novel, Ulysses.
Oh, okay.
You always bringing that up to me. Just trying to tell you I know about it, too.
Okay.
And
Greek and Roman mythology, I can go for that.
Well, the thing that's interesting is that Joyce, in that novel, Ulysses, manifested a technique referred to as stream of consciousness interior monologue, which is what you do every Sunday on Sunday Night Baseball. Rather Joycean of you, I thought.
Well, let me ask you a question. Could he hit? I think that's the bottom line here.
Ask some of those patrons of the pubs he frequented in Dublin. Here's the one-strike delivery, and walk fouls that one away. But what that stream of consciousness interior monologue, which tries to capture a character's whole range of thoughts as he thinks them, which is what you do for us every Sunday with these pitchers, these batters, and these managers. Wow. That bat is dead. Two men gone. The bat exploded in the hands of Bob Walker.
Again, Bud Black gets that cut fastball or slider in on the hands of a right-handed hitter. He has jammed about 4 of them now. And here's the pitch from Bud Black. Watch the spin on it. It'll be rotating a little bit toward the hitter. In super slow motion, you get a view of this. And he shatters Bob Walk's bat. See, that falls way in on the fist. And the bat can't take that much pressure at that point.
Two men down. Here's leadoff man Gary Reedus.
Probably thought Carl Lewis was waiting for him at first base. He's going to pass the baton.
I was wondering, why would he be carrying that thing? That thing is dead, Bob. Here's Reedus. He is hitless in the series. He flied out to center today. He's 0 for 6 in the series.
Back to this stream of consciousness. I have enough problems remembering this is Father's Day. Let alone Bloom Day.
Robbie Thompson takes it, and that is the inning. So, the Pirates are scoreless. The Giants are scoreless on Bloomsday. There's Alcatraz out in San Francisco Bay. This is John Miller along with Joe Morgan, the Birdman of Alcatraz. Here is Jose Uribe, and he takes a strike. No, that was Burt Lancaster played that role, right? But it was a true story. There really was a Birdman of Alcatraz. But he wasn't anybody that we, hung out with. Uribe, the 8th place hitter in the order, down the right field line. Long run, and the wind, I think, got hold of that one.
Well, that shows you the wind is really pushing toward right field, from left field to right field. The ball started about straightaway right field, and by the time McClendon got over there, the ball had already gone foul about 15 feet.
You can see those flags. The wind always present, it seems like, here at Candlestick.
But like a lot of stadiums now, John, that the flag really doesn't tell you the direction. A lot of times it's swirling or blowing high above the stadium in one direction, and down inside the stadium is blowing another direction.
2 strikes to Uribe. Bud Black, the pitcher, will follow. Into shallow center. And Jay Bell, the shortstop, goes out to handle it. And there is one away. Well, we told you the Giants got off to a slow start this year. Wasn't real bad in April. But then in May, one of their worst months ever.
Well, they had a 10-game road trip, and they only won 2 of those ball games. That's what put them behind the 8 ball.
And 8-20, as you see, 9-5 in June. 8-20 in May is even then misleading.
Right. Because
they won 4 of their last 7 in the month. At one time in the month of May, they were 4-17. And Roger Craig was feeling pains in his chest.
Yes, he was.
Buddy Black. And he takes a strike. And Buddy Black, he can hit a little bit. 273. 9 for 33. And 4 runs batted in. Bobby Bonilla throws him out. 2 away. Let's go now to Chris Berman.
All right, John, Budweiser takes you to Arlington, where Nolan Ryan on the hill for the Texas Rangers against the Yankees. That's his only K thus far, but in the books against Jesse Barfield, they've played 2, and the Rangers lead the Yanks 1-0. Let's go back to the stick.
All right, Chris, thank you. No score here. Last of the 3rd. Joe, did Nolan Ryan ever throw a pitch like that to you? What kind of a pitch was that?
It was a curveball, but it was a real big league curveball. He threw me a few of those.
Here is Tiny Felder, leadoff man. Felder's from this area. In fact, when he was a high schooler, he was good buddy with Willie McGee. And McGee said he always wanted Felder to come to the National League. He says, you're a National League kind of player. Well, here he is, and he's done well.
Well, you mentioned earlier he was released by Milwaukee, which is something strange had to have happened there because he hit .270 last year, stole over 20 bases, and he was released. And he's done a great job for the Giants.
Roger Craig was saying there's ball 2. 2-1, 2 down, nobody on in the 3rd. He said that they've been trying to acquire in the last 2 or 3 years, and offering a player here, a couple players there, and then finally they get him for nothing. Out of play off to the left. 2-2 to Felder. He grounded to short his first time. Felder hasn't just stepped in and done fairly well. He has 6 triples and 5 doubles and 12 steals. He's done a lot of things for him. Chico leaned, throws him out. And we're a 1/3 of the way through this ball game, and still there is no score. Bell, Webster, and Bonilla coming up. Sunday Night Baseball coming to you from San Francisco. This downtown San Francisco from Candlestick Park. I'm John Miller along with Joe Morgan. And Joe, baseball was saddened this week when former Commissioner Happy Chandler passed away.
Well, I was very much saddened, John, because I became very good friends with Happy Chandler during my years in Cincinnati from 1972 up until the present. I talked to him about 3 weeks ago, and he was doing great at that time. He had been ill, and I called him to see how he was doing. He was feeling great, and he was very happy to hear from me. We have just struck up a friendship over the years, and it's a very, very sad moment for me when I heard that he had passed away, because he was really one of the greatest commissioners of all time, and he did a lot for baseball.
Happy Chandler, age 93, passed away this week in Kentucky. There's strike 1 to Jay Bell. Chandler was very supportive of Jackie Robinson, being brought in by Branch Rickey, breaking the color line in baseball in 1947 when he came in with the Dodgers. And some feel that brought a lot of enmity from certain owners in baseball, because he got fired a few years later.
No doubt about it. But I had grown to know him all those years, and we talked a lot about a lot of different things, but he never used that as an entry. He never felt that that was a big deal.
Foul, 1-2 to Bell.
In fact, he told me the reason he did it was because he felt like it was the right thing to do. And there's the present commissioner, Fay Vinson, who is here with us this afternoon at Candlestick Park. We talked to him before the ball game. He said he may be able to come up and talk to us.
Down the left field line, Mark Leonard deep into the corner. This one is way back, and it's gone, a home run. Jay Bell right down the left field line and over the 335-foot marker, his 7th home run of the year, and that's the first one of the game.
And Jay Bell has tied his previous high in home runs.
He hit 7 last year.
Buddy Black has been getting inside on the right-handers all day. You see Terry Kennedy set up inside, and it's not a bad pitch. Jay Bell just goes down and gets it, drives it out of here to left field.
Now Mitch Webster, a switch hitter, batting right-handed, takes ball 1. Black has been known to give up a home run now and again this year. It's 12 he's given up in 100 innings.
He had been very successful against the right-hander so far in this ball game by getting the slider in. He got that one down a little bit, and Bell was able to go down and get it.
1-1 the count. That's a foul ball just outside the bag at third. 1-2. Well, Black gave up 3 home runs in his most recent start last Tuesday at Wrigley Field. And the game ended up 8-6. What do you think? Was the wind blowing out?
This time of the year, it's always blowing one way or the other. They don't call it the Windy City for nothing.
Luis Salazar hit 2, and Hector Villanueva hit 1 for the Cubs that day. But the Giants did win the ball game eventually. And Black had no decision. Outside, 2-2. Now, after Mitch Webster, then you've got Bonilla and Bonds. And we should mention, by the way, ordinarily you'd see Andy Van Slyke here. He's had the problem with back spasms. In the right field, Felder. Out number 1.
Most people know the humor that Van Slyke displays. I talked to him before the ball game. I said, well, how did you hurt it? Do you remember any particular time you strained it or whatever? He said, no, I just was walking one day and all of a sudden my back was crooked. That's the way he described it. He said he didn't do anything to it. He just woke up, started walking, and it was crooked.
Andy Van Slyke. And there's nothing funny about the way he plays center field.
No. Gold Glove winner.
Bobby Bonilla, the hitter. And he looks at a strike. Switch hitter batting right-handed. Grounded to first his first time.
Bud Black and Remlinger yesterday have really confused Bonilla at the plate until this pitch.
But there's McGee. He'll handle it. Sounded like he hit it real well.
I thought he did.
2 down, and that will bring up Barry Bonds. Now, off in the distance, there's the East Bay. You're looking over the hills of Oakland, I'd say.
My territory.
Joe Morgan is from there. And let's see, the Oakland Athletics are from there.
Yes, and they lost today.
They lost, and the Twins won again. 15 consecutive wins for the Twins, and they moved ahead of Oakland by a half game in the American League West. Ball 1 to Bonds. He hit the ball hard his first time. A fly ball to right center. He's 0 for 1. 1-0. Pirates ahead. 4th inning. 2 down. Nobody out. Right to Uribe. And that is the 3rd out. 1 run though for the Pirates. 1 hit. McGee, Clark, and Williams coming up for the Giants.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you, friends know when to say when. And by Delta Airline. We love to fly, and it shows.
Willie McGee, the hitter, a 1-hopper to Chico Lind, and he throws him out. And McGee, who has a 19-game hitting streak in progress, is now 0 for 2. Here's a look south. That's the Bayshore Freeway, Highway 101. And this is looking from Candlestick Park. Down a little bit, on down the peninsula. And there's a look inside of Candlestick Park.
After he threw the pitch to McGee and he grounded out, Bob Walk looked into the dugout and he gave a signal to someone like, it's okay, maybe I'll be all right. So something is obviously bothering him out there on the mound.
Will Clark, the hitter. Again, they gave him an extra day of rest between starts because of the little hamstring problem he had last weekend. A ball and a strike to Clark. Clark struck out his first time. Here's the look from ground level. You see those flags up on the rim of the stadium. Strong wind is blowing. Clark to Lind. Trying to hit a ground ball that Lind does not get to. 2 men gone. Let's go to Chris Berman.
All right, John, Budweiser takes us back to Arlington, where Nolan Ryan leading 1-0, top of the 3rd against the Yankees. And of all people, Randy Velarde. Whoa! It's a solo homer, his first of the year. Velarde ties it at 1. Here in the bottom of the 3rd. Happy Father's Day, guys.
You need some singing lessons, Chris.
Where were we? Here's Matt Williams. Yeah, that's where we were. 1-0, the Pirates ahead. Just off the outside.
See Matt Williams make a motion there with his right hand, make the ball come to me, get it down. That's exactly what he wants to do. Those were his problems earlier in the year, swinging a lot of bad pitches up and pitches away.
Now ball, one strike. It seemed like the Williams was in such a terrible slump. And every time he batted, there were men on base. And every time he batted, he left them on base. It got worse and worse.
And that's coming from a guy who was the RBI champion in the National League last year. So he got off to a medium start in April, but then he really struggled in May.
Matt Williams. He didn't struggle too much last year. He had quite a year. He and Will Clark and Kevin Mitchell gave the Giants one of the most fearsome trios of sluggers in anybody's batting order. And when they're all in there, they're all healthy, and they're all ready to go, it's still one of the most exciting lineups you'll find in the majors, I think.
Well, they're hoping to have them all back together next week. Well, at least by next week. Kevin Mitchell is scheduled to come off the disabled list Tuesday or Wednesday, but we're not sure if he's going to play right away.
We asked Kevin when he came off the field today when he'd be ready to play. He said Tuesday.
Right.
He says he's ready now.
But what happened is earlier this year he went back and started playing left field a little too quickly after an injury, and I'm sure they want to guard against that happening one more time.
There's a high fly ball. The right fielder McClendon with the glasses down. That very bright California sky. And the Giants go down 1, 2, 3, and Bob walk. Well, if he's hurting, hurts so good. 1-0 Pirates, start of the 5th inning from Candlestick Park. This is John Miller, along with Joe Morgan, your Sunday night baseball telecasters. McClendon, the hitter, single his first time. And Williams takes care of him this time.
We're going to show you 2 pitches from Bud Black, his famous slider. This is a cut fastball or a slider. Right here, see where he's grabbing it across the seams, not with the seams. And this is a slider. See how the rotation is going toward the hitter. And the slider breaks down and in on the right-handed hitter. He fouls it off.
Now Don Slaught, the hitter. First ball swinging, foul ball.
Now we'll show you a fastball. And if you watch the rotation here, see how he's gripping it with the seams right at the top. Now watch the ball turn away. The spin is the opposite. This ball is moving down and away from the right-handed hitter. Right there, nice pitch by Bud Black. But that's what you have to contend with when you're facing Bud Black. One that comes in and one that dives away. That's why he's so effective.
It looked like he was diving away there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Slaught got one to hit his last time up there from Bud Black, but then Mark Leonard took care of him with a diving catch in left field. 2-1 the count. 1 out, nobody on. 5th inning. Pirates 1, Giants nothing.
Right in the water. Look what you did. Right in the water. No,
And 3-1 the count. The Los Angeles Dodgers are winner, beating the St. Louis Cardinals. Pirates were happy for that. The Giants would just as soon seen the Cardinals win it.
Well, the Giants are 11.5 games behind. They cannot stay that far behind going into the second half and expect to win.
And ball 4 to Don Slaught. So with 1 out, there's the first walk of the game by either pitcher. As Bob Walk gets his jacket off, and Jim Leland paces around in the dugout there. And the batter will be Chico Lind, who grounded out to second his first time. Roger Craig, and he means it when he says the Giants can get back into the race and they could still win the pennant. In 1964, he was with the St. Louis Cardinals, and he said that in mid-August of that year, the Cardinals were 11.5 games out, and they won the pennant, and then they won the World Series.
Well, the problem is you can be 11 games out if you're in second place.
but you can't be 11.5 games out late in the season if you have to jump over 4 or 5 other ball clubs. That's impossible to do. So if they're in second place and 11 out, you still have a shot.
So if they were in second place and maybe 4 out, they'd be even more comfortable. There's a fly ball in the right center. Felder takes it. Back to the bag at first will go Don Slaught. 2 down. Wednesday night on ESPN. The Oakland Athletics, who fell into second place today, will be at Detroit to face the slugging Tigers. Cecil Fielder and company. Dave Henderson, Jose Canseco went deep again today. And the Athletics, the highest scoring team in baseball. The Tigers, number 2. And the highest home run hitting team in baseball, the Detroit Tigers. That will be Wednesday, and the game will be carried here in the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Area. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific.
Interesting about the A's, they have led the American League in pitching the last couple of years, and now they're losing ball games 11-7, 7-3, having a lot of problems with their pitching staff.
That was their score today in Milwaukee. They lost 11-7 to the Brewers. Outside for a ball. Brewers have taken 2 of 3 over the weekend so far, splitting a doubleheader with them last night. Minnesota, meanwhile, 15 in a row, the all-time franchise record. Walk hits it foul. Walk grounded to second his first time. 2 down, runner at first. 1-2 the count to Bob Walk. 1-0, the Pirates ahead in the 5th.
The interesting thing about the A's, first it was the Mariners. They got hot and went in the first place. The A's recaptured it. Texas Rangers ran off 14 in a row, went in the first place. The A's recaptured it. Now Minnesota's run off 14 in a row, and they're in first place. We'll have to see 15. I'm sorry, they won today. And we'll see what happens to the A's now, how they respond to this challenge.
I have a feeling they'll respond pretty well to it.
Yes.
Strike 3 to Walk. 1-0 Pirates after 4.5.
Hi, I'm Bobby Bonilla of the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'd like to wish every father happy Father's Day, especially my dad in Flushing, Queens. Happy Father's Day, Pops.
Happy Father's Day, Dad. I love you, and I'm your biggest fan. See you, buddy.
Young fella brought his dad to this ball game today. Let Dad drive, I'm sure.
He also brought the wrong cap. That's on the other side of the bay.
Here is Mark Leonard to lead it off for the Giants. 1-0 Pirates, last of the 5th inning. Strike, and it's 0-1. Well, Bob Walk has done the job with the Pirates. Walk seems to always be at his best against teams from the National League West. He has not lost to a team in the West since 1989. Why, that's 2 years ago. 0-2 the count. Last time he lost was September the 2nd of '89 against Cincinnati. He was 5-0 against the West last year. He's one of those guys who starts a lot but gets very few decisions. And it is 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Mark Leonard.
Because he battles you all the time, and even if he's pitching a shutout, it's kind of a struggle for him. The managers always feel like when he gets in trouble in the 5th or 6th inning, they take him out. And sometimes the relief pitchers cannot hold the lead for him, so he ends up with a no decision.
The Pirates and the Giants from Candlestick. Strike 3, foul tip, held by Slaught. So there is 1 away. Bobby Bonds, we were talking about him and his son Barry, now with Pittsburgh. Bobby, of course, started out with the Giants here in 1973 All-Star game. Who's that base runner at second base? Why, that's Joe Morgan. Back. Where's Chris Berman when we need him? A home run.
I remember that.
Did you high-five it with Bobby when he got to the plate?
No, we didn't do that in those days. We shook hands.
Oh, you shook hands?
Yes.
Shook hands and spit some tobacco juice. 1 ball and no strikes. Who was that pitcher? That seemed very familiar to me too, Joe.
That was Nolan Ryan. And I also remember Willie Davis hit a home run off of Nolan Ryan as well. So he got touched up that night.
2-0 the count to Robbie Thompson. He hit into a double play his first time. Barry Bonds. He can't hold it. Got the glove on it. Thompson into second with 2 bases. Pirates in a state of shock.
Well, Barry Bonds, Gold Glove winner in left field from the National League, is an excellent outfielder. He got a good jump on the ball. You can see he's very upset because he could not hold it. There's Barry. The ball hits off his glove, and very unusual. When he gets his glove on it, he usually holds on to it. And he's very upset in the outfield.
So it's a double for Robbie Thompson. The Giants get a man to second base for the first time in the game. The batter, Terry Kennedy. Ball one. Kennedy flying out to shallow left his first time. 1-0. The Pirates ahead here in the last of the fifth. 1 out. Thompson, the first Giants base runner to reach scoring position. Bonds playing shallow and left for Kennedy. Bell trying to keep Thompson close at second. Into center. Hit pretty well, and beyond Mitch Webster. This will score Thompson. It's tied up. Kennedy for second with a stand-up double. 1-1.
Terry Kennedy said before the ball game that he was going to widen his stance a little bit because he had not been playing a lot, and with an exaggerated stance he could get his bat on the ball in a lot better contact in the left center field, and he drives this to the left center field, and Webster chases it down. That's Webster chasing it, and he can't get to it.
Didn't seem like he got a real good read in that ball off the batter. Here's Uribe now. 1-1 in the last of the fifth.
Again, the winds of Candlestick Park will play havoc with the outfielders, especially if you have not played here very often. And that looked like Webster was confused when the ball was first hit. He thought it was right at him, but it wasn't to left center field.
And you hear the crowd doing this local chant. One side of the stage says, ooh, and the other side says, Uribe. 2-0 the count. Uribe has not lived up to that chant so far this year in these situations. 1 hit and 13 at bats with a man or men in scoring position.
Well, he has not played every day, and he hasn't had a chance to really get in the rhythm because over the last couple of years he's done a pretty good job in these situations. But he's only had 13 at bats with men in scoring position, and I guarantee you that is like 1 this week, 1 next week, and so forth and so on, because they brought up Mike Benjamin to start the season as shortstop, and he was sent down. Dave Anderson has played a lot of shortstop as well, so Uribe has not been the everyday shortstop with the Giants like he has been in the past.
Well, he has 89 at bats for the year. That is a called strike. 2-2. Buddy Black, the pitcher, is on deck. 1 out, 1 in, and a runner at second here in the fifth inning. Uribe. In fact, talking about RBIs, for Terry Kennedy, his 3rd RBI of the year. But he's only had 80 at-bats.
And Steve Decker, as I mentioned, started the season as the #1 catcher, got off to a good start. But he's really struggled, and they sent him down to get some more at-bats, and all of a sudden, Kurt Manwaring hurt his finger, and he had to be brought back.
And Bonds is very shallow in left field for Uribe. 3-2. If Uribe were to hit a single into left field, I don't see any way that Kennedy could score, because TK, as his teammates call him, is not a very fast runner.
He will have trouble scoring on a base hit to any of the outfielders with a guy like Uribe hitting, because they do not play very deep.
His mother's going to be very upset to hear you say that. 3-2 the count. Foul ball. Not to mention his children on Father's Day. Not to mention that it's absolutely true.
You can see that most hitters in the major league struggle when they get 2 strikes. An average of 182, and Uribe is hitting 086. So,
of course, that could be misleading. I mean, there's 0-2, and then there's 3-2, right?
It is misleading.
We've got the 3-2 count here. Kennedy at second. The wind is blowing hard, and Walk is going to try it again. Well, and we've done a little checking, Joe. 9 times Kennedy has been at second base this year when somebody's gotten a hit.
He scored 3 of them.
Okay.
Popped him up. From third base, Bonilla. Nothing is a sure thing in this ballpark with the wind, but Bonilla stayed with it nicely. 2 men gone. Kennedy still at second.
Here's Bob Walk making the pitch to Jose Uribe. And he sees it's a pop-up, and he wants to know who's got it. He says, who's got it? I don't want it. He knows it's going to be near the mound, so he starts calling Bobby Bonilla, Bobby Bonilla. And Bobby says, I've got it under control. Just let us handle the pop-ups.
2 men down, and here is Buddy Black. Black can help himself. He has 4 runs batted in for the year. Grounded to third his first time tonight on a half swing. 1-1, 5th inning. Giants trying to sweep the first place Pirates this weekend. And that's high for ball 1. And certainly if they could do it, that would lend a little more credence to their manager's faith in them and their ability to come back and into the pennant race this year.
Well, Roger Craig will have faith until they're mathematically eliminated. He always figured the Giants are going to come back, and he has good talent on the ball club. So it's not like it's just wishful thinking. He knows that if he can get Kevin Mitchell back and he gets hot, Will Clark gets hot, Matt Williams, and he gets some well-pitched ball games, he knows that he can run off 12 to 15 wins in a row. And that's what they're going to have to do in order to get back in the race, according to my estimation. He thinks he's in the race now.
I think you're right, though. Here's the 1-1 pitch to second base, and Jose Lind takes care of Buddy Black. So they get the 1. Back-to-back doubles, tied up at 1. That's the Chris Berman we know. The last time we sent it back to Chris, we got Mario Lanza. Velarde, old Velarde, my eye. Here is Gary Reedus, leadoff hitter for the Pirates. 1-1 the score. 6th inning. Buddy Black giving up just 2 hits, including a Jay Bell home run. Bell second up in this inning. Reedus 0 for 2 takes ball 1. Last year the Pirates got a lot of mileage from their leadoff spot with the veteran Wally Backman. Platoon bases. He played a lot of third base and hit leadoff when he played. Had one of his best years as well. And now he's with Philadelphia, and that has left a little bit of a hole for them that they've had a hard time filling it. The leadoff spot we're talking about for the Pirates.
Well, they also lost Sid Bream and R.J. Reynolds.
That is foul down the right field line and back out of play. 1-2. Backman hit .292 last year as a leadoff hitter. Now you see what they've done this year, and this is the first and second place hitters. Of course, Bell hit second last year as well. But that leadoff batting average tied for 10th in the league, and the stolen base total last in the league. Their record, however, first. They've overcome them.
So what that tells you that sometimes statistics are misleading.
Two and 2 the count to Gary Reedus. Buddy Black deflects it. Thompson has no play. And it's an infield hit for Gary Reedus.
Reedus grounds this up the middle. It's a fastball away. Buddy Black reaches across, deflects it away from Robbie Thompson, who had started up the middle to try to field it behind second base. And Reedus runs very well, so there's no play at first base.
So that brings up Jay Bell. See Reedus over at first. What do you think? A bunt, maybe?
Well, they've done it a lot this year.
But, and you see Bell already squared around.
No doubt about it.
No secret here. He's had 16 sacrifice bunts this year, and he had 39 last year, which were the most in the National League since 1922. Why, that's 59 years ago. Daylight savings. In 1922, a fellow by the name of Zebulon Terry had 39.
Going well.
Wow. You met him at a banquet or something? Give a bunting seminar when you were a rookie?
Well, I think the commissioner talked to me about him one day.
Well, that's why Bell gets asked to bunt so often.
He does a good job. Guess who's joined us in our booth?
The commissioner?
Yes.
I knew it. Can we give him we need to find a spot for him here.
Jay Bell's a good bunter. He gets the ball out, bat out in front of the plate, and just kind of catches the ball off the end of the bat. Bunting is a lost art. At least that's what most baseball people will tell you. But Jay Bell does it very well. And we're trying to get the commissioner situated here.
The batter is Mitch Webster, and Buddy Black lost his hat.
Candlestick wins again.
Who does he think he is, Stu Miller?
Well, Stu Miller was blown off the mound. He didn't weigh enough. Bud Black just loses his hat.
Well, the commissioner of baseball, Fay Vincent, has stopped by the booth here, and hoping to be able to chat with him here for a little bit. Mitch Webster, the batter, a 1-1 tie, 6th inning. Webster's grounded to first and flying to right. He started the year with the Cleveland Indians. Into right center. On the run is Felder. Can't get to it. It goes to the wall. McGee chases it down. Scoring is Reedus, and all the way to third is Mitch Webster. And the Pirates are ahead 2-1. And again, you can see Felder battling the elements. Seemed to be a bit unsure as he went after that one.
Webster hits this ball exceptionally hard in the right center field. Felder got a good jump on it to start out. But, of course, the ball just continued to carry away from him. And he gave a great effort trying to come up with it. And he's out. He finally decides he better get up. But McGee runs it down in the outfield. But before he does, there's a runner at third with no one out. One down.
Third triple of the year. Now the infield comes in for Bonilla. That's a fair ball. Down the right field line. Coming in to score is Webster. Bonilla on his way to second base. Here's Felder's throw cut off by Thompson. A double for Bobby Bonilla, and just like that, the Pirates are ahead 3-1, and Bonilla gets his 38th RBI of the year.
This is what the Pirates have been doing so well throughout the season, hitting with runners in scoring position. They do not have a lot of high batting averages on the ball club, but they get the job done. Fastball away, and Bonilla's going that way all the way. Watch. He keeps his front shoulder in, and he's going to right field all the way. You can see that's exactly where he wanted to hit the baseball. Good piece of hitting by Bobby Bonilla.
And that will bring up Barry Bonds and Commissioner Fay Vincent. We're very glad to have you with us.
Well, I'm always glad to be here with you, gentlemen.
What brings you out here?
Well, we were here for the quarterly owners meetings, as you know, but...
Oh, Barry Bonds, base hit to center. And the Pirates are starting to break it open all of a sudden. Bonds single scores Bonilla, and it is 4-1 Pittsburgh. Hey, this is just like the Pirates here.
Yes, this is the way they've played so far this season, but they were held to 7 hits in the last 2 ball games here at Candlestick Park. But they've come alive here in the 5th inning.
And McClendon will come up. 4-1 Pittsburgh, and the Giants bullpen is going to get busy. And you see the Pirates looking pretty loose down there in the dugout. Well, Commissioner Vincent, you've had a lot of headlines lately. You've been making a lot of news lately.
Well, I don't know where. It's been very quiet with me. Nothing going on, John.
I've been reading the papers, I guess.
Yes.
Been like that ever since you took over as commissioner, hasn't it?
Well, but this is what makes it all worthwhile. If you couldn't do this, then the rest of it would be very tedious.
You mean sit with Joe and myself?
Sit with you at a ballpark. In the sun.
I tell Joe that all the time myself.
I know.
Strike one to McClendon. Well, any backlash yet from your decision about the disbursement of the expansion monies, including the American League, in all of that?
Well, I think the reports are accurate. I think a number of people were upset. On the other hand, there are other things to be concerned about, and I hope we could just go about our business and put that behind us.
The batter is Lloyd McClendon. There is one aspect that you haven't addressed yet that Joe and I were very concerned about, and that is the cutting the broadcasters in on the expansion money, because those new teams are going to need broadcasters.
Well, we thought of that. You know, when they said they didn't want the money, I thought maybe there are others who would like it.
Send it right over.
Absolutely. The umpires asked for some. Bureaucrats. What's wrong with giving some to bureaucrats? Help the baseball bureaucrats.
1 strike to McClendon. There goes Bonds. And he's in there easily. So nothing going right for the Giants now.
Well, Barry Bonds joined the 30-30 club, 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases last year, and he gets an excellent jump on Buddy Black. He actually cheated a little bit. He leaned back toward first, tricked Buddy Black, and took off. The throw by Kennedy is there, but it was much too late.
All of a sudden, the Pirates have found themselves. 6th inning on Bloomsday here at Candlestick. Do you celebrate Bloomsday?
Well, I'm a Joyce fan, yes.
I'm glad you knew that, Commissioner.
It was quite a day.
2-1 the count.
He caught me on that earlier today.
Did he? Well, yeah. I would have helped you out, Joe.
Okay, I told him I have enough problem remembering it's Father's Day.
Ask him what Joyce's wife's name was.
Okay, now.
Nora.
You got it.
Yeah, but he's got the paper in front of him here, Commissioner. He's got the article right in front of him.
Oh, he's strong. He's strong.
And Bonds back to the bag with Thompson.
The Baltimore literati, Joe.
Here's Kelly Downs warming up in the Giants bullpen. We're in the 6th. 4-1. The Pirates lead the Giants. The commissioner of baseball, Fay Vincent, is here with us. Mr. Vincent, when we see you in this ballpark, we see those pictures from 1989 October. The World Series with you down on the field.
You're right. I mean, I have memories of this place that will never be erased, and they're really basically very fond ones, especially the fans and the authorities here. It was an incredible experience for me. I'll never come to San Francisco without thinking about it.
There are a lot of things sometimes. There are tragedies that happen, and there are things gained from it. I think, truthfully, you gained a lot of respect from baseball people and fans alike by the way you handled the decisions about whether to play the game and how to continue the series. I thought everything you did under those circumstances was perfect.
Well, you're nice, Joe. It was an incredible experience.
That's strike 3 to McClendon. And I think he wants to ask the commissioner for an appeal on this play. Little upset with Charlie Relaford.
Absolutely. Part of the game.
Well, baseball wouldn't be baseball without some arguments and disagreements.
Absolutely. I live with them, too. The umpires and I get along very well for that reason.
Well, there you see the reaction by McClendon. He didn't think it was a strike.
Here's a broken bat foul hit by Don Slaught. Now 2 down with Bonds still at 2nd. In between the first out of the inning when Bell had a sacrifice bunt and the strike 3 there to McClendon, Webster tripled, Bonilla doubled, and Bonds singled. And Slaught is over getting a new bat.
Not to put you on the spot, Commissioner, but we might as well anyway. But there was some talk about trying to do something with the designated hitter rule, either put it into both leagues or disband it from the American League. Any truth to that, or?
Well, I'm very much opposed to the designated hitter rule, Joe. I think it was an experiment. It served its purpose, and we should finish with it. But it really starts with the American League. I haven't seen much action over there to get rid of it. There are some owners who would like to get rid of it.
I agree with you that it served its purpose because they put it in supposedly because attendance was lacking.
And they wanted more offense.
Exactly, and it would keep some of the big name players around. I don't see that happening anymore. Now they have designated hitters who hit 220 and are not big name stars anymore.
Well, I talked to a designated hitter the other day, and he was telling me how hard it was to be such. It's a difficult role to play.
Must have been Jack Clark.
I'll never say. But it is a difficult role.
Another steal there from Barry Bonds, and he stole that one uncontested. Black just forgot all about him over there.
Well, he's tricked Black twice. He's leaning back toward the bag, and then he just times him and takes off.
And right back to Buddy Black. So Slaught is retired, and so are the Pirates. And Commissioner Vincent, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, guys. Nice to be with you always. Good luck.
It's a pleasure to see you. 4-1, the Pirates after 5½. It is remembered as the shot heard round the world, the swing that put the Giants in the 51 series and immortalized Ralph Branca, the pitcher, and Bobby Thompson, the hitter. If that was baseball's most famous home run, then Bill Mazeroski's shot isn't far behind. 7th game of the 60 World Series, game tied at 9, last of the 9th, and Mazeroski beats the Yankees and wins the World Series for the Bucks. And these two ball clubs have had, each have had long and rich histories in Major League Baseball. The Pirates and the Giants. The Pirates enjoying themselves today 4-1, and Bob Walk will depart. It's his game to win. And Joe, you notice a few times that he was not quite right. Looked like he was limping as he left.
Well, he had a heavily taped left leg hamstring, and it's been bothering him. And he started to bother him about the 3rd inning, and he was signaling to the dugout what was going on. Here's Bob Patterson.
Left-hander out of the Pirates bullpen. You see his numbers there. Tell us a little bit about him.
Well, Bob Patterson's a guy. He has pretty good control, keeps the ball down, but he has a good fastball. Every once in a while, he'll turn it loose up and in.
He'll face the top of the Giants batting order: Felder, McGee, and Clark. 4-1, the Pirates out in front. There's a flurry of base hits there, all at once by the Pirates in the 6th inning against Buddy Black to give them the lead. There's ball 1 to Felder, who is 0 for 2. He's a switch hitter. He'll bat right-handed for the first time tonight. Bonilla plays him shallow at 3rd. Looks like we got a very good crowd at Candlestick Park tonight. There's a strike, 1 ball and 1 strike. This is now a gigantic park since they enclosed it.
Well, they had 36,000 in yesterday's contest.
Felder showing bunt, but taking. 2-1 the count. By the way, we saw that Ramada remembers about the Bobby Thompson home run. There's an excellent new book out called The Home Run Heard Around the World, all about that final game and that season, which was a great season.
I mean, someone's just now getting around to writing it?
Well,
it was a while back, John.
Well, it was well worth waiting for. There it is. Ray Robinson wrote the book. There's a great story about that day when Thompson hit the homer and the Giants won the pennant. Russ Hodges went nuts. Frank Sinatra, good friend of Leo DeRoche's, the manager of the Giants, was given 4 great seats for that game. Uribe takes, or rather Felder takes a strike. So he asked Jackie Gleason to go with him, J. Edgar Hoover, and also Toots Shor. Well, they drank on their way to the Polo Grounds. They drank a lot of beer during the game at the Polo Grounds. And he popped him up on 3-2. And Felder is retired by Aretas on the foul ball. Well, as Bobby Thompson was coming up, the way Sinatra told the story in the book, Gleason, totally blasted, threw up on him. So Sinatra is trying to clean himself off when all of a sudden Thompson hits the home run and the fans are going nuts. He never saw any of it. Then they're in the car driving home afterward, and Gleason is saying that Sinatra should be thrown out of the car because he stinks. He said, that bum's smelling up the car. Get him out of here.
Well, the question is, who was the designated driver in that group?
J. Edgar Hoover was with him, Joe.
Okay. Limo, huh?
1 strike to count in the last of the 6th, 1 out. Next week, we'll see Ernie Harwell as we bring you the Detroit Tigers hosting the California Angels from Tiger Stadium, and Ernie Harwell broadcasts that game.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to going to Tiger Stadium. May not be many more summers there.
Doesn't look like it. Strike 2 to McGee. McGee safe on an error in the 1st by Aretas. Grounded to 2nd in the 4th. He, too, is a switch hitter. Now batting right-handed. McGee has hit .391 this year, batting right-handed. And that's low. That book, by the way, Al Rosen, when the Giants were 12-29, had a meeting with the club, and a lot of rumors that maybe Roger Craig's job was in jeopardy, and he told him basically, says, hey, his job is not in jeopardy. His job is more solid than a lot of yours. There's strike 3. But then he told him about the Giants of '51. He said, that's our history. You certainly are not buried. You could come back and win it. And they gave them all a copy of this book. 2 down, nobody on. McGee retired.
Willie McGee is a free swinger, which means he will chase a lot of pitches out of the strike zone. And this is a high fastball, and he chases it. And I feel one of the reasons that batting averages are down now is because a lot of guys chase that high fastball now.
2 down. Here is Will Clark. And he takes a strike. Clark has struck out and grounded to second. 4-1 the Pirates. 2 down, nobody out in the 6th inning. Almost all of the infield is covered in the shadows now. A little foul off to the left. 0-2.
Will Clark home run production has gone down since 1987 was his highest year in home runs. 1988, 89, and last year only 19. So Will Clark's power has diminished each year.
Although until he was injured last week, he was on a pace to hit over 30 this year. Didn't he hurt himself? Wasn't he hurt for a good part of the last, what, couple months of last year? He didn't talk about it.
He didn't. He had problems with his foot. He wasn't running well, and he wasn't landing well when he would take his stride. But he didn't use that as an excuse.
Strike 3 called. And Relaford rings up Will Clark, and the Giants go down in order. 4-1 Pittsburgh after 6.
Miller High Life brings you streaks, peaks, and valleys. Last time the Twins lost a game, it was May. They're now in first place in the AL West with their 15-game winning streak. Rob Dibble, perfect in save opportunities, but in a valley, a rough week for Mets reliever John Franco. Let's go back to the stick.
Thanks, Chris. And here it is 4-1 Pittsburgh, top of the 7th inning. And Buddy Black's still in there, but Will Clark is not. And that ball is caught by Robbie Thompson off the bat of Chico Lind. Greg Litton has come on to play for Will Clark. Now, this is, if you're a Giants fan, nothing to be alarmed about. Roger Craig told us before the game that Clark would not play this whole game, as he is not fully recovered from that quadricep injury. And they just wanted to get him back out there, get him some swings, but not try and overdo it. So he gets the rest of the night off, and he went 0 for 3 while he was in there.
You can see the flags blowing there in the outfield. This is really a typical day here at Candlestick Park.
Strike 1 to Patterson.
Not more wind than normal, not less. Just a normal day here at Candlestick Park. Chris Berman could appreciate that. He's a big Giants fan. I don't know if you know that or not, John.
He says that he's from the East and everything.
Yeah, but he loves the Giants. I believe him. He loves the Giants.
You and I grew up here.
Yeah.
And if we said that, it has some meaning to it. 1-2.
The wind has not really had any effect on this ball game. The line drives that the Pirates hit to score their 3 runs in the 6th inning were all sharply hit baseballs.
Well, Patterson doesn't look like he's much of a hitter there, and he is mercifully gone very quickly. 2 down, and now if you're just joining us, here's the storyline for the ball game. Pirates are leading 4-1, top of the 7th inning. And there you have it. Bob Walk went the first 5. Jay Bell hit his 7th home run, tying a career high. And the Pirates, who just could not buy a hit with a man in scoring position today, they've had a hit every time they've had somebody in scoring position. Gary Reedus is the hitter. 1 for 3.
Reedus got the Pirates started with an infield hit in the 6th inning and scored their 2nd run of the ball game.
Reedus hit one right back at Buddy Black, who almost flagged it down. The ball hit off his glove and bounced away, and Reedus beat it out. A ball and a strike.
Reedus came up with the Cincinnati Reds, and he was a guy that they thought was going to be a superstar for a lot of years. He had a lot of speed, steal a lot of bases, and he had power. And when you get that rare combination together, you usually have an exceptional player.
2 down, nobody on. Black misses outside. 2-2 the count. Only right field and a little part of center field still lit up in the late afternoon, early evening sunshine now. Fouled off to the right. 2-2 the count. The rest of the field is in the shadows. There you see it. That's Felder out in right field in the sun, and right on the edge of the shadows in center field is Willie McGee. Looks like right field could be a tough field right now for Felder. Getting up into the sun, chasing fly balls. 2-2 the count. And this is one of those candlestick days, summer in the sun, winter in the shade.
Once the sun goes down and the shadows cover the ballpark, it gets a little chilly.
2-2 the count. Strike 3 call. So Buddy Black comes back with a strong 7th inning. But he and the Giants are trailing 4-1 after 6.5. Conversation tonight on SportsCenter right after the ball game. Stay tuned here to ESPN. 4-1, the Pirates lead the Giants, last of the 7th. Matt Williams, the hitter, to lead it off against Patterson. Off the fists, foul and out of play.
If you're a guy who's observed baseball players and think that some of them are prima donnas and some of them are not worth the money that they make, I advise you to watch SportsCenter interview with Bobby Bonilla, because I tell you what, this is a special individual, great player and also a great human being. And Jim Leland said he is a truly special individual and that they're very lucky to have him on their ballpark.
One strike to Matt Williams. Bobby Bonilla, will he be with the Pirates next year?
I think he will. I really do.
Strike 2. His contract ends after this season. And at this point, there was a lot of speculation about the Pirates perhaps trading him to get something for him before he left. But now they're in first place. Looks like they'll keep him and try and win it all with him.
You have to look at it two ways. Here's a guy who finished second in the MVP voting last year playing right field, just where he was comfortable. Jeff King went down with an injury. He moved to third base. If that's not the ultimate team man, then I don't know what is. And let me read you something that Jim Leland said. It's pretty impressive when you have a superstar and he'll play wherever you want him to play every day. He says this guy is a real special guy, and I'm lucky to have him on this ball.
Strike 3. Matt Williams down on strikes, and he is 0 for 3. Welcome to Candlestick Park. That's our venue for ESPN Sunday Night Baseball in San Francisco. And the Pittsburgh Pirates, first place in the National League East, defending champions of the National League East, are leading the Giants 4-1 as Mark Leonard comes to bat. And by the way, the top 4 hitters in the Giants order, Felder, McGee, Clark, and Williams. Pretty good hitters there. The 4 of them are a combined 0 for 12. Bob Walk and Bob Patterson done a heck of a job keeping them all off the bases all night. Only McGee has reached, and that was on an error. 1-0 to Leonard. He has a single and struck out into right field and over the head of McClendon. The wind and the sun and the fact the ball was pretty well hit. A double for Leonard.
As you mentioned, a combination of those 3 things made it impossible for McClendon to make the catch. The sun, the wind is blowing a little bit toward right field, and on top of that, Leonard hit the ball hard. So it was well over McClendon's head. He did not start back right away, didn't get a good jump, but the sun probably had something to do with that.
And Mark Leonard doesn't often get those chances to hit against lefties, does he?
No, he's in there because the right-hander Bob Walk started.
The setting sun here in San Francisco, setting out over the blue Pacific, and Lloyd McClendon casting a long shadow in right field. The batter, Robbie Thompson, has hit into a double play and has doubled and scored a run. He doubled off the glove of Barry Bonds back in the 5th. And Steve Decker, the right-handed hitting catcher, has come out on deck. Kennedy is due up next. The Pirates are getting the bullpen ready again. Patterson, the second Pirate pitcher of the game. And a strike on the inside. There's Steve Decker, number 35, in the on-deck circle.
Something new, he's sporting glasses.
time taken, and Robbie Thompson backs away. We're in the last of the 7th. The Giants trailing 4-1 here. Both bullpens are busy. Bonilla playing on the edge of the grass at third for Robbie Thompson. In the dirt, knocked down by Slaught. And it is 1-1. Now, both of these clubs have great, long, rich histories. They've been playing against each other for a long time. And in fact, as we watch Slaught knock that ball down, one of the greatest comebacks that the Giants have ever had in a game since they came to San Francisco. You might have been at this game, Joe. 1958, the Giants' first year here from New York. They went to the 9th inning trailing 11-1. And they scored 9 runs to make it 11-10. Had the bases loaded with 2 down when the Pirates finally got the final out. The Giants didn't come back and win it, but still their greatest 9th inning comeback. And that was against the Pirates here in San Francisco. Vicente Palacios, the right-hander. Neil Heaton, the left-hander, warming up in the Pirates bullpen. And the brain trust of the Pirates in the dugout there. 4-1, the Pirates ahead, trying to get out of town with a victory here. And remember, the Giants have won 4 out of 5 for the Pirates this year. They took 2 of 3 in Pittsburgh, did the Giants. 1-2. 1973, the Giants were behind 7-1 with 2 down in the 9th inning of the Pirates here at Candlestick, and scored 7 runs and won the game 8-7. So they've had 2 of their greatest comebacks ever against the Pirates in this city. 1-2 the count to Robbie Thompson. Long lead by Leonard at second, and it is 2-2. Bob Patterson. The Pirates don't have the one big closer. They don't have the Myers or the Dibble. But a very solid bullpen with a lot of guys who get the job done and fill a role. And Patterson is one of those. Similar a little bit to, I guess, the way La Russa does it in Oakland, except without an Eckersley.
Landrum has had 12 saves so far this season.
He's done an excellent job in that role, and Stan Belinda also sometimes filling that role. He's got 5 saves. 2-2 pitch. And Barry Bonds. And you see him kind of staggering around beneath that one as the wind plays tricks with it. Leonard back to second, 2 down. And there's that bullpen we're talking about. At least 4 of them there. Those are the 4 who had saves.
Well, Landrum has done an excellent job.
Now Steve Decker will come on as a pinch hitter for Terry Kennedy. Landrum, if this score stays similar to this, we'll probably see him by about the 9th inning. And Joe, when the season started, I was reading Steve Decker's name in the box scores rather prominently. He was hitting a lot of home runs early.
They got off to a great start, and if there is such a thing, maybe Roger Craig put the kiss of death on him, not by design, but he said he had told his coaches in spring training that Steve Decker was going to make the National League All-Star team. And he has really kind of struggled since that time. And I'm sure Roger meant it as a pat on the back, but I don't think it worked out that way.
1-1. Well, Roger spent all those years as Sparky Anderson's pitching coach there in Detroit.
Well, Sparky was always
Sparky rubbed off on him.
Yeah, always a positive individual, but I don't think anyone is more positive than Roger Craig.
Decker is 25 years of age from Rock Island, Illinois. Off the fists, and Reedus in foul ground. And that retires the side. Decker fouls to first as a pinch hitter. 1 hit, 1 left. Bell, Webster, and Bonilla coming up. 4-1 Pittsburgh. And now, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, the Rolaids relief break, and there it is. I think the numbers speak for themselves. Eckersley at top. the American League, ahead of Aguilera of Minnesota and Harvey of California. And in the National League, Dibble way out in front of Lee Smith and everybody else as well. A combination of wins, minus points for losses, plus points for saves, minus points for blown saves. And that's how you get it. Dibble 18 for 18 in his saves and save opportunities. And there's Dad, maybe Joe bringing his daughter to her first ever ball game. And there's a father maybe bringing his son to his first ball game.
And while we have a break here, I want to wish my father, Leonard Morgan, a happy Father's Day. He's over in Oakland, California.
When did you see your first Major League game?
See, when the Giants first came to Seal Stadium about 1958, I guess it was, 57, somewhere in there.
Did you see that 11-1 game when they got 9 runs in the ninth?
I was probably already gone.
Dad made you leave early, did he?
No, I probably had left. It was 11-1. I was disgusted.
Here is Jay Bell facing the new Giants pitcher, Kelly Downs. And it's a ball and a strike. Kelly Downs.
Yeah, Kelly Downs. The Giants have been trying to work him back into the starting rotation. He had a couple of bad outings, and they put him back in the bullpen. He thinks he should be a starter, and Roger Craig would like for him to be a starter, but he has struggled in that role, so now he's coming out of the bullpen for a while.
At least for the 8th inning tonight. Here's a pitch high. 2-1. He would be due up second in the last of the 8th, so I don't think we'll see him beyond this inning.
For the last 3 or 4 years at least, the Giants have been saying that he has the best stuff on their staff.
Into the hole, Uribe. Throws out Bell. Just got it. After the ball game, stay tuned for Sports Center with Bob Lee and Dan Patrick. They'll have the U.S. Open highlights, all of the day's activities in Major League Baseball. The Twins won number 15 today. And then the Sunday night conversation will be with Bobby Bonilla of the Pirates, the Bucks, the Buccos.
20 years ago, Steve Blass, who was the announcer for the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Pirates that he was playing for were winning the World Series 21 years ago, and his father, Bob Blass, was there to greet him when they won the championship. He ran on the field, and Steve wanted me to say Happy Father's Day to him today.
Mitch Webster fouls one away.
I'm not finished.
Go ahead.
We got a whole list here. Mark Laton, who is the trainer for the Giants, his father's going to have surgery next week. He wanted me to wish him a happy Father's Day.
Uribe has it. Webster retired. 2 down. Well, right now, let's go to Chris Berman. It's Berman. That's his name.
I wasn't finished, Chris, but go ahead.
Well, Joe and John, I'll tell you what. I'll be done in a second. Don't mind me. Happy Father's Day to everybody, and happy double with 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th by Juan Gonzalez. Julio Generalissimo Franco scores. Kevin Reimer Reason scores. Nolan Ryan ahead 3-2. Now, what were you saying?
Thank you, Chris. Hey, when are you coming out to Candlestick?
Here is Bobby Bonilla with a 1-ball, no-strike count, and he hits a high foul down the left field line and back out of play. Jim Leland, as Joe was mentioning earlier, very high when his praise of Bobby Bonilla.
He's never one time asked me for a day off. I gave him one by my own choosing a year ago. In fact, I think it was an ESPN game, and I'll never do it again because he bothered me the whole game. I probably managed the worst game of my career. He was sitting there yakking to me the whole game, so he won't get any more days off. But he just wants to play. And, you know, once again, I hope and I really believe that after this year he will continue to be a Pittsburgh Pirates. But I guess I can do a little politicking for him. There's not a manager in baseball that wouldn't want to manage Bobby Bonilla.
And it's 2-2 now to Bonilla. High praise indeed from Jim Leland. Although it sounds like that's what Bonilla is counting on. Not a manager in baseball would not want to have him.
Right.
2-2 the count. There's a high pop-up. Shallow left. Uribe out. In comes Leonard. Still coming in. And he's got it. Just a little bit of wind here tonight. 3 up, 3 down for the Pirates. Giants coming up, trailing 4-1.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by Smooth Bush Beer and Easy Drinkin' Bush Light. By Napa, because there are no unimportant parts. By Peerless, the best-made, best-backed do-it-yourself faucets in America. That's Peerless. And by GMC Truck. It's not just a truck anymore, it's quality on the road.
Here come the Giants, last of the 8th inning, trailing the Pirates 4-1, and a pinch hitter, Dave Anderson, leads it off to Bonilla. He's playing him shallow, and on one pitch, the pinch hitter is retired. And as we saw Bonilla in his last at bat, looked like he was limping a little bit. Let's have a look, Joe.
Well, he hits a pop-up to the left side, and watch, he's limping on his left leg. Seems to be trying to stay off of his heel more than anything else. But he runs it out anyway.
And I watched him as he took the field over at third base for this half inning, and it looked like he was still limping even as he walked over to third base. Every once in a while you see him trying to work out the kinks, trying to stretch a muscle. Pinch hitter now, and this is Kevin Bass, a switch hitter, batting right-handed, been in a slump of late, and he takes a strike.
Kevin's been hot and cold. He got hot a couple of weeks ago and was swinging the bat exceptionally well. Drove in some key runs for the Giants, and now he started to slump a little bit lately.
Both bullpens are busy. Bob Patterson working here in the 8th, and Bonilla will play another one. And he has thrown out each of the pinch hitters here in the 8th inning.
Well, the Giants saw him limping. They're trying him out over there at third base.
Yeah, they're trying to make him run a little bit.
Well, Bonilla's in tight because Bass runs well. He backs up, and he has a very strong arm. He fires across the diamond to retire Kevin Bass.
And we go to the top of the order with the Giants. It'll be Mike Felder. He's grounded out twice and fouled out once. 4-1, the Pirates ahead, last of the 8th. This is the 3rd inning of work for Bob Patterson. Breaking ball for a strike. 0-1. 3 runs in the 6th inning for the Pirates. Webster hit a triple for 1. Bonilla doubled him home, and Bonds doubled him home. Nice bunch. Bonilla's going to have to hurry. Got him. Nice play. Bonilla apparently calling off Patterson, and he made all 3 of the plays in the inning. We go to the 9th, 4-1. The Athletics will meet the Detroit Tigers on Wednesday Night Baseball. Don't miss it. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific time, and that game will be seen here in the Oakland-San Francisco Bay Area. Tonight, however, we're in the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Area as we watch the Giants as they take on the Pirates, trailing 4-1. Jose Segura comes on to pitch, and Barry Bonds takes ball 1. Bonds flied out, grounded out, but then in the 6th he singled home a run, the 4th Pirates run, and then he stole 2 bases. He let it all hang out of that inning. 1 ball, 1 strike. Segura, Joe, you've seen him?
Well, he's pitched well for the Giants. He had 1 bad outing where he gave up a lot of runs, thus the high earned run average, but he's pitched very well since being called up from Phoenix.
And ball 2. 2-1. There's Dave Anderson. He stayed in the game to play shortstop after hitting for Uribe. 29,870 is the paid attendance at Candlestick Park. 2-1. So another fine crowd. They had over 30,000 here yesterday. And that's a ball. Ball 4. So Segura walks Barry Bonds.
This is Tiny Felder batting in the last inning for the Giants. He drops down a bunt. Watch Bobby Bonilla. He charges it all the way. Doesn't seem to be having any problems with his leg there. Bare hands the ball and fires a strike. This is a different angle. And Bonilla fires him out at first place.
Here is Lloyd McClendon now. There's Bonilla sitting alongside Gary Reedus in the Pirates dugout. Back to the bag at first is Bonds. Now Bonds first stole 2nd in the 6th inning, then he stole 3rd. Now McClendon, who is 1 for 3, stands in. Bonds has stolen 15 times for the year now. Very high. Ball 1. In the Pittsburgh bullpen, the man who has become the closer, Bill Landrum, a right-hander, is warming up. 4-1, the Pirates ahead, 9th inning. Segura knocks it down, gets the out at second. No chance to double up McClendon. Well, if he didn't react quickly enough to that one, it might go right over the middle for a base hit.
Well, McClendon hits it hard right back up the middle. Segura gets his glove down in time to knock it down and keep it in front of him. He pounces on it very quickly. This is a tough play. You see Anderson pointing to first base, but Segura comes to second for the force out of Barry Bonds.
Well, was Segura just not paying attention, or maybe was the catcher Decker telling him to throw to second?
Well, he probably just felt like he had a chance to get him.
Off the hand, slot. Williams, the second one. Back to first is Thompson. Double play. Wow, beautifully turned by Robbie Thompson. Didn't look like they had a shot there. Last chance for the Giants coming up. Last chance for the Giants as we go to the last of the 9th inning. This is John Miller along with Joe Morgan. And Joe, you could appreciate this play by Robbie Thompson.
Well, it's a tough double play to make, but Robbie Thompson does it very well. When Matt Williams has to back up, that gives the runner time to get on top of Thompson. And you'll see here McClendon goes in hard. Thompson gets rid of the ball very quickly. And with a strong arm, he's able to get the runner at first base. Here's McClendon going in. And you can see Thompson throws it backing up. You have to have a strong arm to be able to do that. And he makes a nice double play there as McClendon slides past it.
Well, we got changes now. Bill Landrum comes on, and he not only will try and wrap this one up for the Pirates, but the first man he faces is Willie McGee, who is trying to extend his hitting streak. He is hitless tonight, and the crowd here at Candlestick tries to urge him on. Landrum with 12 saves in 12 save chances. He's been perfect. In effect, there's a strike to Willie McGee.
It's interesting. Landrum of the Pirates, Jeff Russell of the Rangers, all were Cincinnati Reds property at one time. And they've also brought Rob Dibble along, so they've done a great job as far as closers are concerned.
Jay Bell got a hurry, and he got him. And it looks like that hitting streak has ended tonight. And the crowd at Candlestick aware of that. And many of them rising and offering an ovation of appreciation to Willie McGee.
Well, when you have a hitting streak at stake, all you want each and every game you go into is to make sure you get 4 at-bats. And Willie McGee had 4 at-bats and went 0 for 4. So you hate to go 0 for 2 or 0 for 1, something like that. But he had his full complement of at-bats to extend it, and he wasn't able to do it. Although he hit the ball sharply the first 2 times up.
Here's Greg Litton up for the first time. Will Clark left the game after 6 innings, as had been mentioned before the game by Roger Craig, with that quad injury, the pulled muscle in his right quadricep. Yeah, you say that one, will you? Bail me out on that one. Greg Litton hitting only 171. 1 out, nobody on in the 9th inning. Ball 2, 2-1. There's Willie McGee. And McGee, he just keeps on rolling. Won the batting championship last year in the National League. And when he won it, he was in the American League.
Member of the Oakland A's.
Next Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, 7 Central. We'll take a look at Dave Winfield. The old fellow is having quite a season, as are the Angels as a team, although they had a tough weekend in Boston. And the Detroit Tigers. Detroit, this is just an old-fashioned slugging ball club. I mean, they've got some, not only guys who are free swingers, big, gigantic guys. Fielder, Tettleton, Rob Deere. There's a foul out of play. Incaviglia, although he's on the disabled list right now. Of course, Whitaker and Trammell, Tony Phillips has taken that opportunity to trade and has just become an outstanding everyday player. And they have been one of the top scoring teams in the league. That'll be next Sunday, and of course, Tiger Stadium.
Well, the Detroit Tigers are fun to watch because they do not get cheated. The big fellas go up and let it go.
This one is past, leaned, and Litton is safe. Well, now we've seen everything.
Yes, that's unusual. Lean thought the ball was hit harder than it was because he could have taken a step to his right and probably come up with it a lot easier than the way he tried to make the play. Watch, see, he doesn't move much to his right. He just kind of takes one step as the ball continues to go away from him. One more step and he would have been able to make that play. But I think he was confused because he thought it was hit a lot harder than it really was.
And they'll give Litton a base hit for that one. Here is Matt Williams. Matt has grounded a short, flying to right and struck out. 0 for 3. Big, strong right-handed slugger. There's a high drive into left center field. Bonds is going back to the wall, and it is up against the wall of the bounce. Well, Jim Leland's got to be sitting in the dugout saying, what's going on out here?
Well, there was confusion between Mitch Webster and Barry Bonds. Communication is the key in the outfield. Here's Bonds going after it. There's Mitch Webster, and they both stop short. It bounces against the fence. Bonds is going after it from left field, and there he holds up. He thought Mitch Webster was going to make the catch, and it goes for a double.
Well, ordinarily, I mean, the rule of thumb, if you're the center fielder, you go after everything, don't you?
Yes, the center fielder's job is to catch the ball, and he is the captain out there, so he goes after it. And he's supposed to make the catch, and I think that's what Barry Bonds was looking at. He's used to having Andy Van Slyke out there who takes charge.
Webster apparently thought Bonds was going to take charge. Here is Mark Leonard. All of a sudden, the Giants with some life in the 9th inning, trailing 4-1. Leonard takes a strike. Tonight, he has a single and a double, and he has also struck out. 2 for 3. This is not what Leland had in mind when he brought Landrum into this game.
Well, the Pirates are a good defensive team as you take a look at Greg Litton over at third base. And there's Matt Williams at second. But the Pirates are a very good defensive team normally. They do not make the 2 miscues that we've seen this inning, even though they both go as base hits. They're balls that should have been caught.
A ball, 1 ball, 1 strike. I have 2 words as my theory as to why they didn't play either one of those balls.
Right.
Candlestick Park.
Well, I disagree. A major league player, in both cases, it was not the wind or anything that affected them. It was just the fact that they misjudged the baseball.
I think they're cold out there.
Oh, well, that could be, but you're supposed to play under those conditions.
There's a base hit for Leonard into center field. Coming in to score is Litton. And comes Williams rounding third, and he'll score as the throw goes into second. Now it's a 1-run game. 4-3 Pittsburgh. Still only 1 out.
And we get a look at Jim Leland. As you mentioned, he's not too happy about the situation. Neither is Bill Landrum. This is why Mark Leonard was inserted into the lineup to face right-handed pitching. And he goes down and gets a low and away sinker and lines it into right center field. And the Giants are within 1.
And quickly the Pirates bullpen gets busy again as Robbie Thompson gets ready to bat. And Leland is going to the mound to visit with Landrum. Well, this can shake a guy up. He might have been out of the inning with nobody getting on base. Instead, they're not catching the balls they usually do. You see Heaton, the left-hander, Vicente Palacios, the right-hander, warming up for the Pirates. Now he's got the tying run on base and still only 1 out. He's in all kinds of trouble. You can play with your head a little bit, with your concentration.
Yes. It's like a hitter. He hits a lot of line drives and they get caught. You do your job, but it doesn't work out to your advantage. And Bill Landrum definitely should have been out of the inning already. He shouldn't have even had to have faced Mark Leonard.
All right. He has had his say and goes back to the dugout, does Leland. Leonard, a big night, 3 hits, 2 RBIs. Thompson 1 for 2 with a double. Ball 1. The Giants looking for a little bit of that magic from 1989 and 1987. 89, they went to the World Series. 87, they went to the National League Championship Series. 4-3, 1 out. That's a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now Landrum would like to see Thompson hit the ground ball for a double play, but oddly enough, the Pirates have turned fewer double plays than any other team in either league.
He also has to be aware of the fact that Robbie Thompson has 7 home runs, and he hit 15 last year, so he is capable in this situation.
Check swing. And it is ball 2, 2-1.
He's capable of driving this ball out of the ballpark and giving the Giants a victory, so you have to be very careful with him. He's a good high fastball hitter.
Decker is on deck, and you hear the crowd. Robbie, they're chanting. 2-1. There goes the runner. A pop-up foul that will come back out of play. 2-2 the count, and Leonard will go back to first.
And Roger Craig is a manager that likes to use a hit and run. He will use the squeeze plays. He is a very offensive-minded manager, considering the fact that he was a pitcher during his playing days. But Bob Lillis standing alongside, kind of helps him with the offense.
2-2 the count. Leonard was running in the last pitch. Landrum holding a long while. Now he steps off the rubber. 2-2 the count, and Thompson remains. Meanwhile, in Arlington, Texas, top of the 9th inning, the Yankees have come back against Nolan Ryan. That game is tied at 3. Here, the Giants are trying to tie it. Remember, we mentioned earlier, 2 of the Giants' greatest 9th inning comebacks came against Pittsburgh years ago. In the right center field, but McClendon is there, the right fielder. And even then, it carried a little bit further than he originally thought. Leonard back to first. 2 men are gone. Robbie Thompson retired, and this next fella, although he's been slumping, he's very young, he surely has the power to hit one out. This would be the first time that Decker has ever faced Bill Landrum. One thing that Leland has to love about Bill Landrum on the mound, he does not often give up home runs. He has not given up any this year at all. He allowed 4 last year. Ball 1. Decker hit 15 home runs last year at Shreveport, and then 3 in just 15 games with the Giants. At the end of the year, he's got 5 home runs this year. 2 down, last chance for the Giants. They've got 2 runs in, a runner at first, trailing 4-3. Check, swing, and an accidental foul.
Well, you can see that the Pirates are trying to keep the ball in on Decker. They want to throw fastballs in under the hands if they can. And if they have to, they'll throw the slider away. But looks like they really want to stay in tight on it.
1 ball, 1 strike. 2 down, runner at first. Landrum having a scary 9th inning here. In his 27th game of the year, his earned run average 1.48 coming in. Up the middle and through, base hit in the center field. Leonard turns the corner, and he'll hold at second base. Webster into shallow center to field it. And now the tying run is just a base hit away. And Dave Anderson is coming up. It's the 4th hit of the inning for the Giants.
It's a fastball. It gets into the middle of the plate. And Decker just grounds it right back through the box.
The Pirates scored 3 of their 4 runs in a quick flurry of base hits back in the 6th. And now the Giants trying to do it again here in their last chance 9th inning. Dave Anderson, the hitter, came on as a pinch hitter in the 8th and grounded out. Into the hole, Jay Bell got time, throws him out, and the Pirates hold on to win it. Pirates 4, Giants 3. The Pirates gain a game on each of the 3 teams behind them, Joe.
Well, so the Pirates came out of their slump, and that's what they needed.
Giants, disappointing loss. We'll see you next week in Detroit. John Miller for Joe Morgan. Goodbye from San Francisco.